to talk about the books I read this month, because I've been getting back into reading. I'm becoming an avid reader, chat. This bear is gaining so much knowledge. My brain is being filled. I'm becoming big-brained. It's the books. So, let's start. The books, I only read 3 books this month, which to some of you may not be a lot. To some of you, it might be a lot. It's not really a big deal how many books you read a month. I really think it's more about the quality of the book and how you felt reading the book. That's something I'm really striving for. I don't want to ever feel bad about the pace that I'm reading at, and I never want to feel bad about how many books I read that month. However, going on, to start with, this is the first book. Okay, I have a lot to say about this book. So where I live, there are a few second-hand bookshops. There are 2 right next to each other, and I went into them for the first time recently. And I picked up the first book in the Hunger Games trilogy purely just on a whim. I just picked it up and I was like, I've never read the Hunger Games, so let's just read them. It was really on a whim that I picked it up. I had no real reasoning for why I picked it up other than just it was kind of cooling to me that day. And I finished the book in 3 days, and I absolutely loved it. And then I continued on with the series, and I was loving it so much. And I found out that there was a prequel, and it was all about President Snow, and it was Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. This book, for me, was incredibly disappointing. It took me almost 2 weeks to read, because I didn't like it. I found it very slow and very boring, and the parts where I was expecting excitement, the parts where I thought the story was picking up, they'd be resolved in a matter of like a page or a chapter, and I really didn't enjoy the book, and it makes me really sad that I didn't enjoy the book, and it really threw me off for a bit. And I don't know if anyone else has experienced this when you are reading a book that you don't enjoy, and it really throws you off for a little bit. And I feel really bad because I rated the book 1 star, because normally I could sit and I could read like 100 or so pages in one go, in one sitting, but it was such a struggle to get through this entire book, because it was 500 pages long, roughly, I think, but it felt like 500 pages of nothing. And I'm really sorry, it's gonna be a spoiler. I'm not gonna give too much information, but it's definitely a spoiler. There was a section in the book where a character had been stabbed in the neck. Okay, it's the Hunger Games, it's a bit gory, okay? But it was resolved in like a page, and the rest of the chapter was talking about her funeral. And it felt very unbalanced to me, I guess I would say. In that I felt the chaos of the character being stabbed should have lasted a lot longer than her funeral and, Snow talking about the funeral. And another problem I had with this book is I didn't like Snow. I know he's a villain, and I know you're not meant to like him. But when it comes to a villain origin story, I feel like to some degree, you're meant to like the character and sympathize with him and see where things go wrong and see what turns him evil. But through the entire book, he was just unlikable. And that's all that there really was. He just was unlikable. He was boring. There was a love interest included in the book, and the entire time he saw the love interest as his possession, as what he had. And I understand that's the point, but it was a really hard read for someone I didn't care about to begin with. And I saw a lot of reviews as I was reading it that the end of the book really picked up in pace, and that's where it got exciting. But for me personally, the ending of the book was never that exciting, because by the time I got to it, I was really done with the book, and I didn't care for the ending. It didn't give me any kind of feeling or emotion towards Snow other than, I guess he's evil now. I guess what he's done makes him evil. Which, I don't know. I just really didn't like this book, unfortunately. And I wanted to talk about that. So, the next book I read was The Last Word by Taylor Adams. And some of you who come to stream may already know about this book, but I absolutely loved it. Oh my gosh, it was such a refreshing read after the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. It was so refreshing to jump into a completely different universe. I'd been in the Hunger Games universe for a while, so it was so nice to step out of it and into a new universe. So, a quick brief description on what the book is. It's about, I believe her name is Emma. She is staying on a coastal house as a house sitter with her dog. Leica. Yes, the dog's name is Leica. And they're house sitting, and her neighbor, who she talks through playing hangman, which I thought was really fun. I don't know, it was a nice little addition to the book for me. And they talk playing hangman, and he suggests she reads this book. She reads the book, she hates it, she leaves a bad review saying, how bad it was. The author of the book doesn't like that she's done this, so he comes to kill her. Or so we're led to believe. I love this book. It took me 2 days to read. Granted, I wasn't working those days. I wasn't streaming those days either, I don't think. No, I did stream. I was streaming during those days. But it was so nice. I couldn't put the book down. Even when I wanted to, because I would read it and I would feel so nervous when I was reading it, because obviously it's a horror novel, and I'd want to put it down, but I couldn't. I had to keep going with it. And I rated it a 5-star read on Goodreads. If I could, I would have rated it 6 stars, because I just enjoyed it so much. And I saw one of the plot twists coming. I don't know if you would consider it a plot twist. It was during the story, it was built up to go a certain way, and I think you were meant to guess it, but I kind of saw it coming. But even though I knew what was going to happen, I was excited for the great reveal of it happening. It was very exciting to get to that point and be proved right about the book. But there was another plot twist that I guessed, I kind of thought about, but I dismissed it because I didn't think it was right. But it does happen. And it was like, even then, it was so gripping to be like, oh my god, this thing that I didn't think could happen, happened, but not in the way I thought it was gonna happen. And I always like that, when you can guess a plot twist, but you can't foresee the way it's gonna go throughout. So I really enjoyed this book. There was also, in regards to the writing, I really enjoyed the writing because it was told from different perspectives. I don't think that's a spoiler to say the writing style. It was told from different perspectives. You were told from her perspective and 2 others as well. And I thought it was really intriguing. And there were times in the book where I would be flipping through the pages trying to work out from the font changes whose perspective I was reading in. It was such a great book. I really recommend it. I'm really excited to read more books by Taylor Adams. It's definitely books I've been on the lookout for since reading this one, because I think he has 2 books, and I'm so excited to read those ones. Next up, the last book I read in September was The Summer I Turned Pretty by Jenny Han. I think I rated this one 4 stars. Maybe I'm gonna check really quickly. I'm gonna check my Goodreads. Okay, I lied to you guys. I actually rated this book as a 3-star read. And I don't know if I would call it an issue, but just the reason I rated it as 3 stars was because nothing really happened in the book. It was definitely an easy read. It was a really quick flip through. However, it was an easy read. It's all I really have to say on it. I enjoyed reading it, and I'm looking forward to reading the next 2 books in the series. However, it didn't have a lot of content for me. It was just very, very easy reading, and nothing much happened. And honestly, I'm struggling to review it because I feel like, I enjoyed reading it, but there was no real story. There was nothing much happening in the book. It picked up a little towards the end, but I'd say that was about it. And I feel like it was very much gearing up for what the second book could be. Obviously, I haven't read the second book yet, but I feel like if it's got a lot more action to it, then it could have been combined with this book, maybe. I don't know. But I liked it nonetheless. It was an easy read. I kind of liked Belly. I kind of didn't. She was very, I don't know. To me, I found her a little annoying. She came across very whiny. And I just really don't know how I feel about her. I did start watching the TV show for this. Very surprised. It's a completely different story. I didn't see that coming. I don't know if they've taken all 3 books and they're just nitpicking and rearranging the story, but it felt completely different entirely. But that is all the books I read this September. I really enjoyed 2 of them, so I would say it was a good reading month just for reading The Last Word. I enjoyed that book so much. If you take anything away from this, I really hope you guys read The Last Word by Taylor Adams. I enjoyed it so much. Also currently reading Caraval, if anyone is interested. I'm not that far through. I'm about 80 pages in. I'm liking it so far, although I'm finding it a little bit slow on the get-go. But we'll see how it goes. I am also geared up to read the next book in the series, Legendary. So I'm hoping it will be good.